think we are live. I think that's it. Man, it's good to be back. It's been a week and a day since we went live. This is great.
That's right. You've been in Bitcoin Amsterdam, and I got to watch it from afar. But how was it on the ground there?
It was great, man. Great regional conference. I don't know. I'm a big fan of these smaller European conferences. They're always very comfortable, and you see the people you want to see again and again. So, it's not like the big 26,000 person thing where you meet someone and then they just disappear. And it's like you're going to spend quality time with quality people, watch good talks, even for, middle of the bear market. Or I guess the popular thing to say now is that we're not in a bear market and that, year to date we're up like 2x almost. So
yeah, I mean, I've been seeing a lot of bullish content pop up on X.
Dude,
Twitter,
people live or die for the pump. I got a lot of hate yesterday because I posted that people are overextended in Bitcoin, and that's why they're cheering for this ETF. By the way, I was proven right today. Cointelegraph just falsely reported that the BlackRock iShares Bitcoin Spot ETF was approved. It was not. And it pumped the price by like, I don't know, $600. It's been up. We're up about 1,000 over yesterday. It's hilarious. We're still above 2,800. And Cointelegraph hasn't come out and issued an apology or a retraction, or they edit. All they did is they said, "Here, wait, I'll get the whole tweet." They said breaking BlackRock, iShares ETF spot Bitcoin ETF approved, and then they edited the tweet, put a comment at the end, just said reportedly. After BlackRock came out and said this is not true. So I don't know what their source is, but what a hilarious snafu.
Good job calling it.
Well, yeah, I didn't call
fired, right?
I don't know, man. I mean, to be honest, like this kind of thing happens. Like it's happened at Bitcoin Magazine before. I'm sure I've even like tweeted shit that turned out like poorly sourced. You get a little excited, but it's just that's what I'm talking about. People like live or die for the pump. They're not thinking rationally about anything else. They're retweeting and sending out things that support their underlying beliefs because they're overextended in Bitcoin and they need to see price appreciation, or they're kind of screwed from a financial standpoint because we're down so bad. But I guess to clarify, my definition of overextended might not be other people's. By overextended, I mean like, yes, you could get liquidated. Okay, but maybe you don't have maybe you didn't purchase any Bitcoin with leverage. You could still be over allocated. And what that means is you're uncomfortable at this price level. Like you need a Bitcoin pump to achieve your goals and feel fulfilled. You are a forced seller or could become a forced seller. That means your allocation's probably a little far, but only you can decide. I mean, I don't know. But when you're in that position, just think about the incentives for you to support anything that boosts the Bitcoin price. Right. Even if it's something like a spot ETF that doesn't really benefit plebs and wider peer-to-peer, no trusted third-party adoption at all. It just increases institutional capture. So why are we cheering for this thing? Why are we cheering for the ETF? It's because people
they're not building.
I wonder the same thing. Yeah.
Because they're not what?
It goes back to this idea that most people they're not building anything. They're sitting around at home waiting for the price to pump, and they're mad at people who don't help the price.
Q literally laying with his head on some kind of stuffed animal, shirtless, laying down. They're not they're sitting around.
I hop off to go throw up. So
yeah, I'm just teasing you. Q's sick, so we're happy to have him at all today.
Absolutely.
No, I don't know. I'm not keen on the ETF thing. I think greater institutional adoption is great. Everyone loves a good price pump. I'm not going to lie. It's fun. It feels good. But ultimately, I don't want all the Bitcoin to be in the hands of banks and institutions. I want it to be in the hands of Argentinians. I mean, we can get into that story. And, places in the world that are afflicted by bad monetary policy, horrible, like kleptocratic monetary policy. and monetary debasement. So I think to get right into our first story of the day, Argentinian government has abolished income taxes and a host of other taxes in kind of a last minute play to undermine Javier. Is it Milei? How do you say it?
Milei.
Javier Milei. Yes, this radical, kind of irreverent, up-and-coming politician who looks like he's going to win. I mean, I'm not very steeped in Argentinian politics, but it looks like he's going to get a quorum here and, sweep the election. But I think the issue is, they need to separate money from state. It's the same as any state. Like they're just much more advanced version of where we are now, where it's like constant monetary debasement, 190% inflation on the year, I think so far.
Yeah,
something crazy like that. They had sales taxes of over 20%. And so what the government's doing is trying to win brownie points. A lot of governments right before, running up to election, they vow to slash taxes and slash this and slash that. It's not enough. The Argentinian people have heard these promises before, so this government just went ahead and did it. Now, obviously, they can rescind that. But the crazy part is they're saying the quiet part out loud, which is that we actually don't need your taxes because we can just ramp up this inflation to 300, 400, 500%.
Yeah.
And fund
it. Pull back the curtain.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know.
For the locals, when they see that, they're just like, well, what was the point in the beginning?
Do you think they put 2 and 2 together? I don't know. I'm not sure I would have if I never, if I'd never had Bitcoin and kind of looked into this stuff. I don't know if I would have noticed.
Yeah. I wonder if they, we live in the US and a lot of people don't pay attention to that, but their money is falling apart and it has many times in the past. So I wonder if they have they pay closer attention to that and they have a better perspective on it.
Yeah, they're probably looking for policies to get them out of this mess. I don't know. Javier, on the one hand, seems really well spoken, but I'm not sure what his qualifications are as a politician. Not that you need any special politicians qualifications necessarily, but I'm interested in what his monetary policy would be. I mean, he wanted to did he want to dollarize the country? I should ask.
I heard that.
Yeah. I'm not quite sure if that's true, but I think he just wanted to get rid of this whole Argentinian currency thing. So
you want to get rid of the central bank.
Yeah, that's a step in the right direction for sure. I mean, I think that's what we're going to see over the next decade or two. I think we're going to see the collapse of national currencies down to just a few core stronger ones and kind of a parallel system where individuals are using Bitcoin as a means of savings or just as a means of like freedom, get me out of this surveillance CBDC system.
Yeah.
By the way, I got to tell you, sorry, I'm kind of all over the place. Dude, the second we got to the Netherlands last week, it was hilarious. I'm like walking around with my team, hanging out with Nolan and stuff. And we're just like trying to get some groceries, get some food. None of our cards work. None of these stores take cash. They don't take MasterCard. They don't take Visa. They take some fucking stupid Dutch like credit card that nobody has. So we couldn't buy anything. And I'm like, these people are so ready for a CBDC. They just give them the CBDC. They're dying for it. Like nobody even saw it as a problem. The storekeeper was like, what? You don't have this niche credit card that nobody in the world uses?
Yeah, they don't have some sort of bridge for MasterCard and
or just Visa.
Dude, it was a supermarket. I was like, this is insane. You don't take cash or Visa?
That's weird. I remember going last year and I was buying all the weed with my Visa credit card.
Yeah. We bought some. Yeah, the coffee shops, no problem. We bought bought weed with the MasterCard. It wasn't everywhere, but it was enough places to be like, there's some like seriously spooky, ready for CBDC's capture over here. And you know how it is. It's all very woke, conscious, progressive ideals. The people are not keen on questioning authority at all. I mean, this is like it's the kind of mindset that allowed like Germans to be completely brainwashed and co-opted in the 40s. And you see it again today. Like there's whole books about it, just how the linguistic manipulation by the government is just setting the stage for Basically super sheep-like behavior. It's really sad to see. I don't know, kind of spooky over there. Spooky time to be in Europe anyway. I was telling these guys before the recording, there was a massive Palestinian right when I left my hotel to get back, which we're seeing them everywhere. Not that big a deal. I understand their will to kind of peacefully protest here, but it just feels tense. Feels like a tense time to be in Europe. It seems like the loudest ideologies are just kind of like, they're not even questioned. It's just quietly, everything is just, okay, business as usual. Let's pretend everything's normal here while we lose more and more of our rights and live in kind of smaller and smaller pods and, get our automobiles taken away and drive bicycles around.
Oh my
It's
God.
just, oh man, it's scary. I don't know. It confirmed to me that I'm not in a place where I want to live in a city anytime soon. We were talking about that, Tino.
Yeah. Get away from the population centers. Find a way to have your own water source, your own food source, ideally, or know your neighbors who farm.
But this is the thing, like, how do you talk about that without sounding crazy to normal people? I mean,
doesn't matter because they think so different anyway. Like what you're just saying is these people are ready for a CBDC. So do we need to convince all of them? It's like at some point you just got to take care of yourself. You got to do what seems right to you.
Yeah, you can't save everyone. I think my only other kind of interesting surveillance experience when I was heading over there, I was boarding the plane to get out.
Oh, I wanted to hear about that.
And yeah. So I'm on this, I think it was United flight into Amsterdam, and they have kind of an auto boarding process there. Group 1, group 2. You go up, you stand in this box, and it just like scans you, and then you go in. You don't have to talk to anybody or anything like that. And I saw the flight before do that. And I went up to the desk and I was like, I'm not doing that. Can I please do something else? And the lady was like, yeah, sure. Why don't you just board right now? So instead of being, group 7 or whatever, like terrible position in the ticketing line I got right on the plane. It was great. So in case you're wondering, you can, politely decline to do the biometric scan and stuff.
Eventually, the funny thing was, it starts like that, but eventually it'll be mandatory, eh?
Well, I was going to say it already is. So when I was re-entering the U.S., we're hilariously all sitting there, all with our passports, and every single person around me in the line is like, why didn't we just fly to Mexico and walk in? Like, why are we doing this? It's taking forever. They're all pissed because like us as U.S. citizens, we have to stand there. We have to go give them an address. Where are we going? Where have we been? Do we have anything to declare? Take your picture, scan your hand. It's like, it's this whole process. I don't know.
Just gotta opt into the surveillance account so that you can walk in.
What's that, global entry? Is that where they
not global? There's like another account that someone recommended that I get a couple years ago when I was traveling a lot abroad, and it is like a game changer when you're coming back to the States. Like you still have to like take a picture of your face when you get in, but you essentially like pre-done all of these things, like given over your government ID and entered your flight information of where you're.
Is it called Clear?
No. It's not like one of these things that get you through TSA on the way out. It's like TPCC or TPM or something. Actually, I have my phone right here. It is called CBP MPC. Like this is the app.
Wow, rolls off the tongue. Wow.
Just waiting for that honeypot of biometrics to get hacked, huh?
Yeah, fuck that. There was a time before passports where you could just go to a place and nothing would happen.
I'm like to remember that.
That's what I'm like. Probably my favorite part about being an American citizen is our country is just so vast.
Yeah.
And with so many different geographies and clients. So realistically, let's say like everything goes to shit. You can never leave the States again. It's not terrible. Not a terrible place to be. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine being stuck in Holland?
That's what worries. Yeah, Europe kind of worries me. I wouldn't want to live
freaks
there.
Me out.
To be honest.
No, freaks me out.
Yeah.
And
the other thing is there's a lot of Americans who are have a freedom mindset, you know. They exist. There's a lot of them out there.
yeah, there are. I mean more and more of them. I think there's two types of them. There's two flavors, right? Like, I think it's important to be an optimistic jurisdictional arbitrage player.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want to get into this pessimistic sort of view in the world. Like, what we're doing is very different than just like begrudgingly like blocking out the world and prepping and just, you know what I mean? It's like, no, actually, we're just thinking adversarially and trying to reclaim a semblance of independence and responsibility over our own kind of assets and selves. But
sure. And coincidentally, it's a healthier way to live, happier.
Yeah. It's weird when you start choosing what you put in your body and how you spend your time. You can wind up a lot healthier. That's crazy. Rather than just kind of going with the flow. But I was thinking about this a ton over in the Netherlands. I mean, obviously, just kind of glued to the phone reading about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and man, land is such a shitcoin. It's so sad. It feels like that here. Maybe there are other places in the world that are just like kind of lost and forgotten about, that you can disappear, but you're always just subject to the guy with the bigger stick. It's kind of almost like, as a Bitcoiner, I think we don't talk about this enough. I mean, there's a couple of people out there doing good work, but it's got to be done without trying to benefit off it selling, a $300,000 passport. Like, that tells me, you know what I mean? I mean, fair game, but I just think being more ready to be somewhat digitally nomadic or fully nomadic, preparing to leave and vote with your feet and jurisdictionally hop places. Germano has given me shit. He's like, well, you don't have kids, man. You try doing all that with 3 cats. Fair enough.
Yeah. There's also, I mean, I had Bitcoin before I owned land, and I was surprised at how unsecure owning land felt. It just just because that a government can take it away from you if they see fit, if you do something wrong, something they don't like. But Bitcoin is the opposite. It's impossible for them to take it away from me, and I can move it with me wherever I need to go.
The crazy thing is the way to you can increase the security of your Bitcoin stack with land. They complement each other very well, I think.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm with you. I mean, as a landowner, it's like, it feels way more secure than living in an apartment in a city. You have a little more space, you have privacy, you have recourse if something goes wrong. You know how crazy like a city can get and turn into just a completely looted out protest zone in a matter of hours or days, especially in this environment where everything, like everywhere you turn in terms of social media or mainstream media, is sensationalization extreme. It's like, you don't really have a good idea of what the protests around the world are like, because you're going to get the most action-packed, violent, exciting cinematic moments of these protests. So we're really far removed from reality as people, and I think we're really far removed from our local reality. And that's the other benefit of, maybe you're not even a landowner, like maybe you live in some kind of co-op or kibbutz, or maybe you're with all your friends living together somewhere, and you've got a little bit of space. Like, that's going to ground you a little bit more than if you're living in a pod in in the Bronx.
And just having ownership makes you care about your space, and you can build things and know that's for you, and you can manage things how you want, which is different from renting, where you don't have any incentive to better the property or change it or anything like that.
But it's also like, it's like Bitcoin a little bit, where you don't start questioning. I mean, most people, I think it's fair to question or dig deep into the monetary system. They accept it. It works for them. The boiling point's not high enough. you know, it works. I put my card in, I get some gas, I leave. Like
Yeah.
fiat does work on a certain time scale. So
It does.
with taking back, you know, I'm not even talking about full-blown homesteading, but just starting to question the infrastructure around you. Where do I get my energy? Where do I get my water? What type of water is this? Like, what am I drinking? You know,
Yeah.
what am I eating?
Yeah.
Where am I sourcing my
100%.
food? What is in these grocery stores? Like, not almost not just a chemical, you know, it's like a bio lab. But yeah. Fun. Always happy to go off on a good prepper tangent here.
Yeah, me too.
Okay, so the other story for the day is really that the US had, I knew they had a lot, and I know we won't ever know how much they really have, but Uncle Sam's got more than 200,000 Bitcoin. But I don't think they really have it. So what they have is like a treasure trove of confiscated hardware wallets from what they deem to be like money launderers. It's stuff they've stolen from other people. Criminals are known, but I don't think they're competent enough to get into these hardware wallets. I think they'll find.
That's what I was wondering. Do they actually have the keys, or is it just
Definitely not in every case. Definitely not in every case, because there's no reason to keep them in different. Why would you keep the money in the hardware wallet you confiscated, which is what's being reported happened? You know, you would sweep it into a more secure institutional setup, like a nice bureaucratic hardware wallet. You know, they've got their own internal Chivo, I'm sure. No, actually they don't yet. That's the problem. Yeah. They're like totally incompetent about this stuff.
Not the best with IT.
Yeah. So I hope all that Bitcoin's just swept and they think they're like, I've found the Bitcoin. It's just an empty wallet. But yeah, 5.5 billion USD today. More now. Holy shit, guys. We just jumped up like $400. Price is going nuts here.
Oh yeah.
Let's see what Cointelegraph's doing. Maybe they tweeted out something else. Broke the price. That's the first time, by the way, that I've seen real time an article coin in a while. 42 seconds ago. This is hilarious.
What happened?
Cointelegraph, we apologize for the tweet that led to the dissemination of inaccurate information regarding the the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF. An internal investigation is underway. We'll share the findings of the investigation with the public once it's concluded in 3 hours. Yeah, somebody's getting fired.
I've been also seeing this news about the SEC not appealing the grayscale conversion of their fund to an ETF.
Yeah, that was a couple days ago, right?
Could that have sent the price up?
Sure. I don't know how people a little bit in the weeds. I'm like, who cares about this? You know, they're going to approve that within the year we're going to have them. You know, it's coming.
Yeah.
They still, the path to reverse deny the futures spot ETFs to therefore then like have a new path to deny all these is still in the cards.
That would be crazy.
But it's not an out of the question strategy by the SEC. Because that's the whole grayscale case literally is tied to the fact that the futures ETFs were already approved. So if they just go back and deny them, then grayscale loses its case because it has nothing to point to.
Oh.
Shout out Joe Carlos. Sorry for that.
Shout out Joe Carlos. Sorry for retweeting me for the first time ever. Oh yeah! Wow, somebody's getting fired over at Cointelegraph. That's crazy. Did I say CoinDesk before? I meant Cointelegraph. Sorry.
Nice. I'm gonna hit up Joe and see if they've got any job openings later today.
Yes, in this economy, first and foremost, Q needs a job. So make sure you zap. If you're watching on Zap.stream,
just know that you're giving it all to Shane, and I haven't seen a dime.
You haven't seen a dime, but you've seen. You might see some sats one of these days. We've got a week to get Q. 14 days to get Q to Tokyo.
I will say
So we're gonna need a lot more
Let's go.
Zabs.
the marker, it has moved enough to where like you could actually see there's like a little orange thing on this marker on Zap.stream.
Yeah, there's a couple pixels, right? We're really close to achieving our goal. So any other stories you guys wanted to get into today? I know there's tons of news we kind of talked about before the show. Feels a little bit insensitive to talk too much about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict just because it's not related to what we do. I mean, I'm not going to go out there and tell you like these people just need Bitcoin. Need a lot more than just Bitcoin. And I think we're all following it fairly closely, but I don't think I don't feel like the right person to talk about that. I don't know enough about it. I'm learning a lot. And so I think I mean, I don't know if there's anything Q wanted to share today. We might cover it a little bit in the future, but it's not really within the realm of the show to talk about this. I hope it ends as swiftly as possible with as few deaths as possible, and I hope we can do something to minimize this sort of instability and check our impulse to call for war. If there's anything I've learned from this, is that Ben Shapiro is retarded.
Oh my god!
I'm not gonna. That's like the undermining.
I haven't
Like,
seen what his take
To be
was.
honest with you, like the journalism on even both sides of this is like fairly inaccurate, and it's like the calls to bomb Iran are so laughable at best, and I think it's more telling that despite the rumors going out that Iran had something to do with this, Israel, which has not been a fan of Iran for over 30 years, takes any opportunity to kick Iran while they're down, has been doing a press circuit rescinding these claims and saying that we have no evidence that Iran was involved. That to me is a very telling sign that there is mixed incentives involved in this issue and that certain powers that be want to benefit from this conflict. And I'm just going to point to two stories. One, to put a bow on this one. So the loudest person in the room calling to bomb the Iranian oil fields is Lindsey Graham. I don't really care what side of the aisle you sit on. I think especially since we've seen Lindsey Graham enter the national political fray since 2016, it's safe to say, like, if you agree with Lindsey Graham, you're probably on the wrong side of things. That's just surface level. Dig into the weeds. Type it on whatever search platform you like to use, because this is all public information. But if you type in Lindsey Graham donors, you can look up who his largest donors were from 2017 to 2022. Tino, do you know who his largest donor was during that time?
Of course I don't, but tell me.
The Republican Israeli Coalition. But it gets better. You want to know who his number 2 donor is during this time?
Who?
Lockheed Martin. Sounds to me like those are two groups that really benefit from the idea of bombing Iranian oil fields. And just for future reference, in case anyone's wondering, it only cost about $200,000 combined for those two groups to get that level of sway and influence over Lindsey Graham.
Good Lord.
And the final note is, as many of us are aware, Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks, one of the most famous phrases in Bitcoin. But in the same Times article, another headline is right there if you go and look it up. And it's Israel to invade Gaza with tanks and troops. This is something that came out almost 14 years ago. In January, it will be 14 years ago since that Times issue was the headline. And here we are with that headline, both headlines, candidly, ringing more true today than they ever have.
So what you're saying is nothing changes under the fiat regime?
No.
Yeah.
I don't really trust any of these people, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I've been on Twitter all morning while we've been here. And, for example, Spain is now saying that we're going to prosecute Netanyahu for war crimes, and Israel is dropping sulfuric gas, which is also a war crime. And then white
Sulfuric
phosphorus. Thank
gas
you.
too. Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, it is white phosphorus. You're right. And then I just want to nod to one final thing, and I'm not shy about this. I believe in a free Palestine. I believe in a two-state solution. I'm not anti-Semitic for believing those things, and if you think I am, I think you lack intellectual integrity and honesty with yourself. But I just want to call to and ask you to look up the United Nations Security Council Resolution 242, adopted in 1967, clearly stating that any occupied land has the right to defend itself by whatever means necessary. There is a reason why Israel will never take this to an international court. They will never win. They know they are in the wrong. Attack me all you want. I don't care.
I was just gonna say you're on the verge of being arrested in Germany for this opinion of yours.
Oh no, I fully anticipate to be attacked for like taking this stance. I mean, dude, I was at a Jewish wedding on Saturday. Like,
How'd that go for you?
I ended up. Well, this is a question that I posed. That honestly, like,
A Jewish wedding or a Zionist wedding?
Jewish.
What kind of?
There was. I don't even think my girlfriend said that there was a moment of silence for Israel. I was like, I don't remember that. And then like the groom who I'm friends with like made a joke about Kanye, but like that was the extent of.
That is why I'm kind of holding my tongue here. I'm waiting for leadership from Ye on this on this issue.
Look, I am not shy about saying this, but Hollywood is absolutely run by Jews. It's the only industry in the world where you get Yom Kippur.
Hollywood. Whoa. Let's zoom out here.
I mean,
it's a lot more than just Hollywood.
Totally, but like it's the easiest thing to point to. And my favorite example is like there's such a high concentration of the Jewish population that works in this industry that it is normalized to take Jewish holidays off, even if you yourself are not Jewish.
I'm culturally Jewish, though.
Same. My biggest regret when I first started working in Hollywood was the HR exec like thought I was Jewish. And he came up to me and was like, hey, I noticed you didn't take Yom Kippur off tomorrow, but if you need to take off, you can. I was like, oh, I'm not Jewish.
Nice.
Biggest regret.
I'm just watching all of Twitter blow up on it. This is a good point. So I think that Cointelegraph just gave the SEC more kind of bullets in the chamber against approving a spot ETF. They're gonna point to this like, look at this madness in the markets. This is too much volatility for the people. They have too much power. 2 to 3% pump. That's too much. They're not accredited investors. They shouldn't have access to that. We can't let the price get out of hand here.
Well, there's also like I saw BTC Sessions tweeted this, and it's so accurate. But the events of this morning prove that this whole narrative of the ETF is priced into Bitcoin. No, it is not.
Who thinks that?
Well, there's the narrative that gets shared a good amount of times where people are like, oh, but the ETF is priced in, the halvening is priced in, this is priced in, that's priced in. Well, based on the price action of today alone, we can comfortably say like, no, the price action of an ETF approval is not priced into the current price of Bitcoin.
We just got a confirmation that it was not our friend Joe Hall who tweeted that. He claims he's got an alibi. He's on a flight to Milan, I believe, probably going to the Plan B conference in Lugano. I don't know. I don't think there's that. These kind of things happen all the time. I mean, they don't send the price surging, but I think one of these outlets misrepresents and misreports something on Twitter every single day of the week. I mean, I don't really see this as that big of a deal. What do you think? Are you going to roll your IRA over into Bitcoin spot ETF once approved, Q?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Like I got a decent chunk of change in there, but I probably wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
Although,
It just depends. But if I have the option, I'm taking the tax hit and getting cold hard Bitcoin.
true,
Done
but
it
then you could
before,
also
we'll do it again.
there is the advantage of, like, depending on what type of IRA account you have. Like if you have a Roth IRA account, it probably actually behooves you to buy some Bitcoin in it, because it theoretically is going to get held there for 20, 30, 40 years without
Mhm.
withdrawal. And then the day where you can theoretically withdraw it for fiat, it's a tax-free event. You wouldn't have to pay an income tax on it.
I don't trust the government for 5 minutes, let alone
Fair. I mean,
30 years.
the only rational way to I think explore that would be because you believe that income tax will still exist, and take 65 minus your age. And if you think in that number of years there will still be a federally mandated income tax, then it behooves you to have some exposure, I think, in a Roth IRA, for reasons strictly of you wouldn't pay an income tax on those gains.
Nice. We should flip over to some questions here. Oh, I like this one. So, considering the evolution of Bitcoin narratives over the years, we've seen the rise and fall of many. A lot of them are sheer cope. What do you think the next predominant narrative will be in this space? I mean, you pointed to the ETF. That's certainly, but that's going to come and go within months here. I'm talking about broader, overarching. Bitcoin is a store of value. Bitcoin is this. Bitcoin fixes everything.
I mean, I don't necessarily think this is like the next thing to happen, but I do think there's a possibility that we have the opportunity. So let me phrase. There's a chance that in the near future, a growing narrative is around accountability. You already have a country like El Salvador that has adopted Bitcoin as legal tender. Now, their government isn't using Bitcoin in their day-to-day interactions, but what this public ledger theoretically would allow us to do is to hold our governments accountable for their spending in a way that no government has ever been held accountable for their spending ever. And I think that once people start to realize that opportunity that you have when your country or your government or your leadership, even within your own business, is adopting a Bitcoin standard, and therefore you can see a new level of transparency and a new level of accountability on how your leadership spends its money, allocates its funds, what they're prioritizing with their money. I think it becomes a no-brainer once people grasp and understand that that is a possibility.
So, what's the overarching narrative distilled to a soundbite that you think
Bitcoin
will
is
take
the only
over?
form of money that can keep governments accountable for their spending.
Yeah, I think that's fair and true. But I wonder how that will direct people's actions, because I don't think, I mean, the government's not going to let go of this ability to print
No,
money.
it won't
They're-
be. It won't be like the government doing it out of the kindness of their heart, like, hey, we're going to adopt Bitcoin so you guys can hold us accountable. Like, no. It will have to be called upon by the citizens, and the citizens themselves will have to understand and appreciate that can be done.
Right. This is where I think that some ways we've taken the path of most resistance. Like, there are kind of anomalies like El Salvador, but that whole thing could change if the regime changes, right? And it's also what we've seen is the citizens don't really care about Bitcoin or actually use it. Um, but they have the option to. I mean, it's pretty interesting, of course, that Bukele gave people that sort of check of power over the government, where they can now accumulate wealth outside of trusted third sort of state rails. That's kind of what we're all here for. Again, that pushes back on the ETF narrative. It's like, well, I'm not going to use that. I understand there are I want businesses to hold Bitcoin. So in that way, it's sort of good, gives them exposure to the price. But at the end of the day, the more important thing here is giving citizens a little more autonomy and power to protect themselves from the government. And the beautiful thing is you can start actually thinking about, well, where do I want to go in the world? I can exit. You can break up with your state and your government, and carry Bitcoin across the border. I do it a lot. Every time I travel, I have a lot of fun bringing Bitcoin with me. In the form of hardware wallets or brain wallets, just not a lot. Just it's just fun to cross the border and just know, like, I have all my wealth with me, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Were you able to spend any Bitcoin outside of the conference?
Yeah, I went to a South African steakhouse and it said we accept Bitcoin. And
Is that the only reason you went?
no, I went because it was close. Amsterdam's like a big city, man, and you can't, the driving's insane. So it's like you don't want to get stuck walking. The weather's terrible. So it's like, all right, this is close. Argentina, it just happened to say, we accept Bitcoin. I think it was a partner of the conference, to be honest, or something. But we they were getting frustrated because, like, we see someone out the window. We know everybody. We all go to these conferences all over the world, and we just kept pulling more and more people into the restaurant. And they're Europeans. They don't get tips. They're like, I don't get paid enough for this. There's too many people here. They don't benefit from doing more work at all because they're already paid like pretty well as entry level employees. So they're getting frustrated. We're taking over tables of Bitcoiners. And then the thing, I don't usually like to harass people about paying in Bitcoin just because I think it's weird. I think orange pill culture is just fucking weird. I mean, if the conversation comes about naturally, I love to talk to vendors that I frequent. But if I'm like one off in some kind of restaurant with a bunch of Bitcoiners, I leave it to someone else to ask that question and go into it. And if I were to do it, usually I say, would you like your tip in Bitcoin? Because then they're incentivized to actually take it. But anyway, sure enough, someone goes up and tries to pay in Bitcoin, confused. She's like, yeah, we accept it in theory, but like, are you seriously going to make me do this right now? And they're like, yeah. So they had to find a way to do it. I don't know. They had the software on their POS, but they didn't know how to use it. Ultimately, it like didn't work. It's just a horrible thing for everybody. I just want to.
I'm guessing you didn't get her number after that.
Oh no, she was cool with me because I was like, yeah, they're retarded. Here's a credit card. These are crazy people. I don't know what their magic money.
What is this Bitcoin thing that they're talking about?
Yeah. I played the other because I could see her rolling her eyes already just at the number of us unruly Americans.
All you guys asked them to split the check too. Like, oh, the worst.
Yeah, that is always a thing too. You get to the end of these dinners and it's like, why haven't we built something that splits invoices? How hard could that be to just split a Lightning invoice so we can all pay for the meal? It's got to exist. There's got to be an app. Someone send me that app. I need it. I've seen it done in video games, like Bitcoin video games. You can put up a certain number of sats. You play the game. Win, lose, or draw. The sats are divided between like you, whoever you're playing against, and the developer. We just need that for bill splitting at the end. You're paying for your meal. Everybody chips into the pot, and then yeah. But nonetheless, super fun and re-energizing to be around Bitcoiners again. And actually, even more excited to be around Nostr users. There were so many Nostr users that came up to me in Amsterdam, and we just had great time hanging out, talking about the protocol and getting other people onboarded. There are a lot of people that ended up trying it out, coming up, asking how this and that works, what clients, they should be using. That was super bullish. It was super fun to talk to Edward Snowden. I did an interview with him, trying to get some clips and stuff from our talk. We had a VIP kind of backstage talk. Jameson Lopp asked a question. Renee Pickard asked a question, and then also disagreed with Snowden on something, so they had a little back and forth. It was pretty interesting. And then Avi, shout out to him. So we had a lot of good Nostr discussions with Snowden, and on the main stage as well. I mean, he brought it up as well. It's a pretty serious tone from both he and Stella, but I'm really happy to see that they're a part of that community. It's really going to help grow the thing. You know, it gives us cultural buy-in and gets other people interested. And you know, you need these influencers. I'm excited for the first big influencer to join Nostr that's like outside of this realm of kind of surveillance and self-sovereignty and just like crazy Bitcoin people. You know, I think there's, I don't know right now, but we need to expand. I think everyone came out of this conference agreeing. We talked about this a lot on stage. We actually threw the first main stage Nostr talk at a Bitcoin conference ever, which is super fun. And I was saying, I think it'll be the norm. Like every conference will, in some ways, be a Nostr and a Bitcoin conference in the future. So I think you'll see people taking payments in Bitcoin. I think you'll see a lot of the social media infrastructure for these conferences, the marketing, go out on Nostr. I mean, it's going to be years into the future probably, but anyway, I think everyone went away kind of agreeing, look, to increase adoption, we got to get out of this Bitcoin kind of echo chamber, and we need more community buy-in for more kind of diverse people with more diverse interests. So
I got a question for you. What was Snowden's opinion or critiques of Nostr? What is he hoping gets improved? And, you know, did he have good feedback on how to improve things?
Yeah, it was that mostly. He said the people are just, it's just Bitcoiners talking about Bitcoin. He said we need more communities. His other critique is, I think I've talked about this before. So he accesses Nostr over a VPN and Tor, and it makes it complicated between clients, like the relay agreement, and then whatever personal relays he and his massive following uses. So he'll post things sometimes, and you as a follower might not see it.
Yeah.
And I think it's a bug, particularly between Tor and whatever client he's using. I don't want to call out any particular clients. I think he's messaged most of them, been like, can you address this so that I could get, you know, communicate on here. Yeah. I think I've told this story before, but he was messaging me and I didn't see the messages for like 2 weeks. And he was just hitting me up like, come on, man. Like we need to plan this. Like, why aren't you responding? And then I was like, oh man, I'm so embarrassed. I didn't. Oh, dude, a similar thing happened. So that was faux pas number 1 with old Ed, but faux pas number 2 on my part. I'm like on stage, we're getting ready to go live with Snowden. Everyone's freaking out. The tech crew's freaking out. The audience is fucking packed. There's like 2,500 people in there. I'm sitting on my laptop, you know, like way up in the AV studio, and my phone's just blowing up. They're like, he's not here yet. He's not here. You know, the music cues count down. They're like, he's got to be here. And then I see in the corner of my laptop, it's like Ed requesting to join. I just forgot to let him in the room, and we almost missed it. So I'm like blowing up his manager, like, dude, where is he? And he's just right there waiting, completely punctual. So that was stupid. But no, man, I think his, you know, some of them technically are kind of beyond my understanding. It would be cool to see more active participation and feedback from him. You know, I think Jack did a lot to promote this culture of like, tell the devs what you think. Like this design choice. Yeah. This is how I feel about it. You know, this maybe there's another way we can implement this. Maybe DMs aren't. I think DMs, most people can agree, are a tough sell on Nostr too. Like there used to be bots. I'm sure they still exist. That who had messaged who, and it becomes kind of this like scandal. You know what I mean? You can see, you can log in, you can take a public key and log into my account.
Yeah.
And you can't see the message, but you could see if I was just like messaging someone endlessly, you know what I mean? They're not responding or something, like the joke always is. Yeah, you can see. I think it's I don't know. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of inbounds, particularly for like influencers or like really, really popular people that are on there, like Ed or a Jack or a Stella or something. You'll
Right.
see who's messaged them like 900 times and never gotten a response. But that's a problem. So you
Yeah.
got to, we got to work on the privacy side of that. I know that there's that are possible, but I think more importantly, the idea of this queue in the messaging and this kind of like token system that Simplex build off of that idea. I think that's something I talked to Will about this a little bit at Amsterdam. I think it's something he's considering doing for Damus as well, rather than just I guess like a static channel. You just have kind of this temporary queue that disappears after the content is pulled down and read. Again, I'm probably butchering that. Don't come to me for anything technical, but that's as far as I've gotten with it.
Yeah. I don't know enough to even have an opinion, but I like using it. I would like a share button to a DM. That'd be cool to send people
What do you mean?
on Nostr.
A share button to a DM?
Yeah.
Like to just send a post to a DM?
Yeah, to a friend or something like that instead of having.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you can just link them.
Yeah, no, I know that.
You just want a smoother UI to just send to your top message people. Okay. Yeah,
I like that feature.
Those actually scare me because sometimes I'll be on like a different social media platform and it pops up like I'll just like mishit something and it'll like send a DM of whatever I'm watching to someone, and I'm like, wait, what? I didn't want to. It's like it was like too simple. It was like one click and you like slide your thumb and you've just sent, whatever you're watching.
Yeah, we need it to be a 3-step process just so the devs know.
Yeah. It's gotta be a couple so you don't fat finger it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so I guess I didn't really answer this question. Considering the evolution of the Bitcoin narratives of the years, what could be the next predominant narrative? I think we're going to recycle narratives of old. I think we're going to come back to this idea of Bitcoin as savings and things that circle around, oh, now it's a medium of exchange, a store of value, and soon it'll be a unit of account. I mean, I believe in these largely, number go up on a long enough time frame. But at a certain point, there's nuance to all of these. They're just too general. They're hopium. If you're in this for a short term, Bitcoin is not a good method of savings. If you've been in, the last 2.5 years here, you're down bad. Yeah. So I don't know. I think more nuance is necessary. You got to look under the hood of some of these narratives. I think they're most useful and fun to kind of draw people in top of funnel, but then you can misalign their expectations. Then people over allocate, they take out they do silly things like take out loans to buy Bitcoin. It's like your income comes like grand a month, and now you've got this loan to service. Like that's a terrible idea. But yeah. What I always laugh. What was Udi's representation of Michael, like his caricature of Michael Saylor is just like mortgage your house, buy Bitcoin, kill yourself. Like it's just like
not wrong.
He's not wrong, man. It's cracking me up. There was a lot of, interestingly, I think to report back from Amsterdam, who would have guessed that the interest in inscriptions is like dead? No one cared. Those talks were completely like really not well attended. And
wait, you asked who would have thought?
You would have thought, yeah.
Stupidest fucking thing to hit Bitcoin. From day one, I said it was stupid.
I think the publishing aspect is interesting.
And yeah, did you see the war logs? The WikiLeaks.
That's interesting to me. I can see the value in that,
Yeah, I was talking to the guy the team who put those together, an anonymous team, and it's pretty that's a good use case, but inscriptions are going to be the be all and end all of this. I think the vast majority of what occurs on it is stupid, like valueless, like even the art's terrible. There's a couple good projects that, I mean, I'm not saying have value even to me, but you look at them, you're like, okay, that art's cool. Like this person put in time. That's like a coherent series.
Yeah.
I won't name any of them, but there were some events that we had to go to for this conference where I got to see some of the artwork, and I was like, okay, well, these are like at least a cut above the rest. Like this is a ton of thought went into these and planning and execution. If they're gonna continue to deliver value to their users, whatever, like what business is it of mine how people spend their Bitcoin?
Right.
But I think the whole system will get replaced by something more robust. And I think the important part is not the innovation of like artifacts on Bitcoin. Like that's been around. We could do that without Taproot, right? I mean, it's not very data efficient, and it's like horrible fees. But go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of that, we didn't cover. What was it called? BitVM or the new?
Yeah, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, man.
Okay.
It's basically. It basically opens logic gates on chain. And so like in theory, it makes Bitcoin, somewhat Turing complete. You could do anything, but you run into a runaway, like the it gets a little bit and try hard to build certain things. But for simple, like smart contracts, I think you can propose them and then have them validated by another party pretty easily. So it could make something like lending on Bitcoin more trustless. I don't know if it makes it completely trustless. I think it could have interest. I was talking to Paul a lot at this conference, but we didn't really get into the BitVM. But I'm curious what effect it would have on drive chains, whether it's a viable competitor. But I think it's just going to take time for people to like actually build stuff on it.
Yeah,
it's very like high level theoretical right now. Like there's no product or service offered. But it's certainly cool, man. I mean, yeah, this is what I was getting back to. Like the biggest innovation of inscriptions is not like inscriptions themselves. I think they're going to dry up and it'll just be like this niche weird thing forever. But it's the fact that Casey like fucking did something. And he's just like, I'm going to do this thing. It's the wrong thing. And a lot of people are going to lose money. A lot of people are going to come to Bitcoin from it. I mean, he didn't know it was going to happen, but it did bring a lot of people from crypto into Bitcoin. Now that's definitely kind of died off. But in the beginning, I remember the forums, man, you had hundreds of people asking, how the fuck do I use Bitcoin? I want to do this inscription thing from crypto. So that's cool. But the important thing is like, well, depending on your kind of outlook here, it is innovation on Bitcoin. And it is, if you're like firmly in this ossification camp, I think it's a little bit problematic to think like that, because what you're saying is the current direction is okay. What we want, like complete institutional government capture coming, and never needs to change, and it's perfect. And I think this just betrays like a not very good understanding of how software works and how it needs to be maintained and upgraded and changed to fit the needs of its user base on some scale. I'm not saying it needs to evolve to take on the attributes of these crazy tokens and start to change fundamentally what it is, but on some level, upgrade. So I don't know, kind of controversial, long-standing. I think that those narrative and those arguments and that divisiveness is only going to increase. But I think that Casey Rotomore opened the door for people to at least say, all right, let's try things. I mean, also supported by someone like Jeremy Rubin, whose idea was an interesting idea, like a good, potentially a good upgrade, well thought out idea. It was just like, he wasn't the right person to deliver it. As soon as he left it, people started kind of accepting it as a potential proposal to OpsCTV. I was talking to Paul about this too. Paul's like, I just don't get it, man. I can't. I was like, Paul, you got to just quit, man. It's you. You're in the way of your idea. And he's like, yeah, you might be right. I was like, you need to put together like a anti-Bitcoin conference, like an anti-conference. You need to start doing a daily anti-show. You need to start rallying again, just become the enemy of everyone, and then maybe they'll take your ideas more seriously. Yeah. I mean, this guy's hilarious. He's a great, I don't know if you've ever spent time or watched him, but he's a very good entertainer. I came away with a very different opinion of him and what he's trying to achieve just by talking to him more. I was like, yeah, I don't feel it's an attack on Bitcoin. This is someone who at their core believes Bitcoin needs to change and grow, and maybe he's biased and does want his idea, and sure, all the developers do, but there's an argument. People think that it will be that Bitcoin will become the death to cryptocurrencies by subsuming their attributes in a way that doesn't compromise main chain integrity. And then obviously the controversy of Paul's proposal is that you would need to make some changes, and with all changes comes unforeseen consequences. So you gotta be very careful, you know. Proceed with caution. But yeah, guys, certainly interesting climate. A lot of stuff going on. I've got 2 more questions here, but we're already over time, so I might just save them for tomorrow.
Let's wrap up.
Cool. All right. Well, we should be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern.
Perfect.
Super excited to get the stream rolling again with you guys. Thanks for everyone who joined us on Zap.stream. I tuned in for a second. There's like 30 people watching. Crazy.
Our biggest viewership. Love it.
Yeah. Shout out, James, to your comment on BitVM. Cool. And Patrick, Derek Ross, everybody in the chat. Super appreciate you guys showing up. And